Hello and welcome back. My name's Rach the Wretched One, and this is my podcast, basically covering thoughts that go through my head as well as life events and how I choose to deal with them. So for the last 2 weeks, I've been away. I've been spending my time in the sun. I say in the sun in quotation marks because it wasn't entirely in the sun. But anyway, it was in North Africa. Me, my husband, my 11-year-old son and my mum. We all decided to go on holiday. So the flight there for me was pretty bad. As you know, if you listen to my other podcast, I'm not a good flyer. I don't like turbulence. I don't like takeoff. I don't like landing. I don't like cruise control. I don't like anything. I just want to get there. I use flight as a means to an end, a horrible means to a good end, basically. So the flight there wasn't great. And the funny thing is, even though my husband knows that I am a terrible flyer, before we get on the flight, he's always taking my hand and he's always like, don't worry, it's going to be fine, hun. I'll support you. And, you know, if there's any problem, don't worry, you can count on me. And he promptly always sticks his headphones on or just nods off to sleep. I spend most of the flight elbowing him and saying, did you feel that? Did you hear that? What's the air hostess doing? Why's that light going off? What's that beep for? So it interrupts his sleep anyway. So if he just stayed awake and, you know, was my rock and support he said he would be when we were on the ground, that wouldn't happen. But anyway, the flight, you know, was only 2.5 hours. I did do a few yelps when we had a bit of turbulence and drew a few eyes, but I can't help it. I really can't help it. And it is something I am trying to work on, that's for sure. So the holiday didn't get off to a great start. We landed, it was in the afternoon, and normally when we fly out, a lot of the times our flights end up in the evening. So I was excited about the fact that we were going to have, you know, half a day rather than lose any time. So we landed and it was cold. We're in North Africa and it was freezing. We're all dressed for, you know, really warm weather. I am cheesed off, to say the least. So I'm just grumpy. I'm shaking still from my landing, and then I come out and it's cold out there. So I was vexed. So anyway, we get to our coach. I'm not the best person to talk to. Got a face on. So we get our coach to the hotel. And as we get off the coach, this guy's like, oh, did anyone see that basically, as we turned one of the corners, a suitcase fell out of the coach? People are like, what? He's like, yeah, a suitcase fell out of the coach. It was a green one. Whatever's in there, it's gone, mate. It's finished. And I'm like, that sounds like my suitcase. Because we had 2 green suitcases and 1 black one. My husband's like, nah, don't worry about it. And whatever it is, even if it did fall, we haven't got any electronics in there. It's fine. Our electronics are in the hand luggage. Don't worry about it. So remember, I'm already cheesed off with the fact that the weather's bad. And now to top it off, I'm thinking, yeah, I bet it's my suitcase. I bet it's mine. Law of attraction. I'm attracted it to me. I bet it's mine. So we finally get to our rooms and my mum goes to hers. I get into mine and I decide to start unpacking. And lo and behold, it was my suitcase because my shower gel has busted all over the top part of my suitcase, which contained all of my swimwear. So I have to spend the next hour going through all of my swimming costumes, my bikinis and such, rinsing them out. And then I can't put them out to dry because remember, it's freezing outside. So I have to turn on the little radiator that they've got in the bathroom and hang all my like bikinis up there and dry them out. And by this time, I'm cussing because I'm like, do you know, I'm not even going to get to use these anyway because it's cold outside. So why am I bothering even rinsing this stuff out? So yeah, vex. And also it went all over things like, you know, my makeup bag. So it went on there and then it went on like one of the body puffs. Good old body puff. It went on one of those as well. So you're trying to rinse soap out of, you know, products. At the end of the day, you use soap to clean stuff. So there's that lava. And this is a concentrated level of soap that's on everything. It took an eon to clean it off. So yeah, I wasn't happy. That afternoon, the first afternoon of the holiday, got me vexed. I wasn't the best person to be around. Actually, the weather did brighten up, so, you know, the next day or so, we had a little bit of rain, but then it started to get really warm, and it got really hot, and it was actually really nice. So I was able to wear my bikini, we were able to go in the pool, which was lovely, did loads of sunbathing. So, you know, it didn't let me down in the end. You know, North Africa came through, so it was really nice just relaxing on the sun lounger. Yes, you get harassed a lot by the sort of like the entertainment team, because they want you to try all these different things. And the weird thing about that hotel actually was that they seemed to be on some sort of commission. So even though it was like a package holiday, the team members were on commission for you to do things like bingo and tombola. Like if they sold a ticket, they got some money, you know, out of the proceeds. So they were extra pushy. So that did interfere a bit with you, you know, trying to relax, but then it did get you up to do stuff. So, you know, can't fault them really for that. One of the funny things that did happen though is like a few days in, I noticed that my husband's like body puff had like unraveled. You know how they look? They're normally those like little round things, and then his looked like it'd just been tugged apart. But I just thought maybe he'd done something to it and he just hung it up, and maybe it's just unraveled, or it was a cheap one that we got. Anyway, he said to me, I seriously think that the guy that's cleaning our room is using my body puff to clean the bath. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, because you guys put yours on the shelf. There was like a little shelf in the shower. Whereas I hang mine over like the tap of the bath. So maybe he's coming in, and his was black, by the way. My husband's one was either black or dark grey, like an unusual colour for like a body puff. You know, they're normally like powdered pinks and powdered blues. His was quite a dark colour. So he goes, I think the guy is coming in and cleaning the bath and using my body puff. Ooh. I thought, you know what? That's karma for you. That's karma for you using my one and not telling me earlier. So there you go. But I said to him, I'm sure that it can't be. But I did have a bit of a chuckle to myself about that. Another interesting thing that happened is day 2, my son lost his flip-flops. So they're those, is it the Havaiana flip-flops? We got him some like limited edition. I'm not doing it again, by the way. I'm not buying him any exclusive, interesting kind of things again. The boy took the flip-flops to the side of the pool, and, you know, as typical kids do, he decided to jump in the pool, have a swim about, and then he came back to the room barefooted. No one really noticed until the evening came, and I'm like, where's your flip-flops? Oh, I think I left them by the pool. They were gone, because they were like little Fred Flintstone Havaianas, so they're not ones that you could just buy. They're probably not out anymore. You know, somebody probably saw them and thought, well, nobody wants them. They've been left here. It's quite late now. I'll take them on. I'll use them. Went down there. They were gone. I was not happy, to say the least. So I ain't spending more money on that. But that's kids, isn't it? On holiday or anywhere. Like when they go to school or when they're out with their friends, they lose their minds and they just forget the kind of stuff that they've got. I remember I used to do that at school. I used to play the violin. I still do. But I've been playing the violin since I was about 8 or 9 years old. And I can tell you that North London, there's a bus garage that knew my violin case, because I was always leaving my violin on the bus. The good thing was we lived quite near to the bus garage, so I'd get home. I don't know how I didn't realise I had this big case that was not in my hands anymore. I'd get in, and then it'd be like, you know, I'd go to practice and I'd be like, I left it on the bus. Go down there and it was there. To the point that now I still have this violin case, and it still has my name and address on it from the house I used to live at when I was a kid. So part of me understands that, you know, you lose your mind as a kid when you're playing around and forget things. But, you know, back in the day, we had different forms of discipline for making us or not forget stuff anymore. So once I had a few of those kind of disciplines, then, yeah, I wasn't going to start losing stuff anymore. But nowadays, things have changed. You have to use alternative methods, and you can't resort to those kind of things anymore. Hence why it's taking my son a lot longer to remember stuff that he leaves behind. So yeah, he lost them flip-flops. He also broke his tablet, which was great, because for the second half of the holiday he didn't actually have a tablet to use. So he kept telling us how bored he was and wanting to use our phones and things like that. The weird thing is now, going on holiday, I noticed that loads more children just have their tablets now, or their, you know, switches or any kind of game device. When I used to take my son on holiday, you know, everybody would sit together in the lounge in the afternoon and we'd chat and the kids would have the entertainment. But when they get to that age now, between like 11 to 15, they get a bit bored, and it's almost like the hotels don't really put things on for them anymore because they can see that they're just on their tablets. And the funny thing is, doesn't matter what country, all the children, you'll find them sitting in like a little circle on their tablets. So they're not communicating with each other. They're literally just liking the company of each other while they play on their games or go on their, you know, YouTube and stuff. It's bizarre. So it's like they're communicating, but they're not. They're communicating through body language as opposed to physically talking to each other. But the interesting thing is they all understand the same stuff. They all follow the same kind of guys on YouTube, the same kind of influencers. They all know about the same kind of things in pop culture. So even though the internet has broken barriers for them, when they're face to face, they don't talk. Now, I did find that quite interesting and a bit sad as well, because, you know, when we were kids, it's like you'd find somebody and you'd try and communicate, and that would be your bestie, and you'd run around with them and talk. But now, being a bestie is all just sitting together and then agreeing to, you know, contact each other on WhatsApp later on when you all get back home again. I did some cultural stuff in my first week as well. So I went into town and visited some of, you know, the local attractions. I went to the local museum. I really wanted to go to one of the archaeological sites because, fun fact about me, I studied archaeological science at uni. And it's an interest that has been with me since I was a kid. I was in the Young Archaeologist Society. I used to get the Council for British Archaeology magazine. Yeah, I was a geek. But I wanted to be an archaeologist when I was young. I think I saw that cartoon, Cities of Gold, which was a great like saga cartoon that used to come on after school, and I was obsessed with it. It was all about you know, South America with the Aztecs and the Incas, and they were looking for some lost treasure, and I really got into South American archaeology because of it. Funny enough, I went and studied British archaeology, which wasn't as fun and interesting. And then when I graduated, I realised there wasn't much money as well in archaeology, so I didn't pursue it. But anytime I go on holiday, I always try to look for the local museums or look to see if they've got any current archaeological digs that are going on, so that I can, you know, just have a nose around and see what's what. So that was really good. And the entertainment at the hotel was pretty cool. You know, they have the usual, so they have like an ABBA night, and then they have a disco night, and then they had a Michael Jackson night, and all those kind of things. Something that you just watch, you know, when you're drinking their very watered down booze, I have to say. But, you know, you're sitting there, you have a meal, and then you get dressed for the evening, and you sort of like go through that routine when you're on a package holiday, don't you? I tell you what was really interesting, when they do the disco now, you know, you normally get the songs from, you know, the UK, but also songs from abroad. Have to say, I love it because you get to learn about new tunes that are out there. So I've come away with learning about some really good hip hop and R&B artists that are from France and Algeria. That's helped to expand my knowledge of music that's out there. But what I found is, anybody who knows this, so if you're listening, black people, you know the candy dance that you do to Cameo. It's like an electric slide dance. You do it at weddings, you do it at birthday functions, funerals, everything. It's that one that, you know, everybody knows. When the tune comes on, everyone goes on. There's a few variations to it, but you all work it out and you do it. Anyway, this dance now is across Europe, but they do it to different music. So they do it to like, you know, whether it be some kind of dance tune or some reggaeton tune or some kind of holiday rep tune. They do it, and they're trying to teach everybody it. So I was sitting down watching it, and then I had someone come over and go, "Let me teach you this dance. Let me teach you how to do it." And I was like, no, I'm all right, because I know how to do it. And the funny thing is, I was laughing about this last year to my friends because I went on holiday to Turkey, and there was this young girl getting everyone to learn this dance, and she was Turkish. And it was a dance. She's like, "I'm going to teach you the dance." And everybody was there, you know, waiting for her to do it. So it's amazing how, you know, things have crossed cultures. And I want to know how it got into the wider diaspora, because that's always been a dance that has come from maybe America, the Caribbean, Africa. Basically, you know, as I said, if you're black in origin, or you go to like, black cultural events, that is a dance that everybody knows. So I'll be really interested to see how it's managed to jump to Europe. And not only like, France and Sweden and things like that, but to places like Turkey, Tunisia. Fascinating. But yeah, it was really fascinating watching people do it. They did it right. So, the cameo dance lives on. The second week, the weather was even better. So we had more days of really good sun. I was chuffed to bits. I was not grumpy Rachel anymore. I was happy on my sun lounger. I burnt myself to a crisp. I'm actually peeling as I sit here now. Never thought I'd say that. I'm actually peeling because the first day the sun came out, I was like, well, it ain't that hot, so I'm not going to bother with any sunblock. And normally I'm good. I normally put on factor 50, but I didn't. And yeah, I burnt myself to a crisp, and now I look like a half shed snake, which is really attractive. One of the things though is I became a meteorologist. I literally would lay there and I'd watch the weather. So in the morning we'd wake up and it'd be like, what's the weather going to be like? Okay, bit of cloud coming in, great. When is it coming? Afternoon, good. Okay, we need to get out now. I was literally turning into like, the stereotypical Brits that went out and get the sunlight, run out and get the sun lounger and make sure they're going to catch all the rays. That was me. So I'd be out there, and these two lovely ladies in the first week who were leaving by the second one said to us, right, this spot by the pool doesn't lose sun. You stay here, you get sun all day. So with that intelligence in mind, I would make sure I'd be eating my breakfast and looking out near the pool, like, need to make sure we get that sun lounger. And I say to my husband, quick, you go out there now. I'll finish up. You go out, you sit. I'll run up and get the towels. And it was like a military operation, I tell you. So I'd be there, we'd make sure we got the sun. And then I'd be out and I could see from the clouds. I could tell when the weather was going to change. So I'd look and I'd be like, right, we've got an hour of sun here. Okay, those clouds are coming in. They look like about 15-minute clouds. We should be good. No, the wind's coming in from the east. It's all right. We'll be all right. We're going to miss it. I became an expert and I was never wrong. It's funny, since I've come back, I couldn't give two flying 747s. Then I was on it. I was on it like a car bonnet, I tell you. So I was like a Brit when it came to the sun lounger situation, most definitely. But I tell you what I wasn't like a stereotypical Brit about, and that was the way that us Brits are at buffets. We need to do better. My fellow countrymen and women, we need to do better. So the first week, there was mostly families from France, Belgium, Algeria. We had a lot of Algerians actually, and a few other countries spattered about. And when you went into the restaurant, which is, that usual buffet style with all the different bits of food laid out, which is absolutely gorgeous, everybody was really, really courteous and really mindful of each other. So all the tongs were used. There were even these little paper napkins that were put out so that if people were, using the tongs and maybe got some food on their hands, they could take a paper napkin and wipe their hands off. All of that was there and it was fantastic. Week 2 comes along, and I think that's because half term fully began in the UK. We had a lot more people from Britain come over. And we are terrible at buffets. So you'd see people come in, ignore the tongs, pick up bits of bread with their hands, or pick up something, like a bit of chicken, eat it while they're standing there waiting for, somebody to use something else, lick their fingers because they had a bit of sauce on it, and then go and pick up another a tong to do something else. So disgusting. Or they'd go around and, get the fruit and look at it and go, what's this? Have a sniff. So sniff an orange, put it down and pick up another one. Or get the food and then sniff it and then put the spoon back in. And it's like, guys, you're not at home. Not that you should do it at home anyway, but you're not at home. You're in a public place. There are 10, 15, 20 other people that need to use the same utensils as you, but also need to eat from the same trays as you. And you're there licking your fingers, licking sauce off the back of your hands, wiping your hands on your shorts as you do so, to then go and pick something else up. It looked so bad. And I tell you, I had to really channel into myself and not let the OCD come out, because at the end of the day we all had to eat. So you're standing behind somebody that was doing all of that. You just had to just try and block it out your mind and do your best to try not to hold the tongs where he'd like licked his fingers and grabbed it, and then get your piece of food. And it's like you'd go to the cake bit and they'd pick the cakes up with their hands and everything like that. It was like, get it together. Get it together, people. I did get a lot of reading done, which was great. And I did get a bit of exercise in. So I did a bit of Zumba, which was good fun. I walked into the gym, I think twice, and like, you know, had a walk around, lifted up a couple of weights. I'll be lying if I said I did any exercise. And now I'm truly paying for it. I'm telling you, I literally cannot fit into any of my clothes, and I wear stretchy clothes. So I think I'm going to be in leggings and tops and, you know, stretch jeans for the next 2 to 3 weeks. You know, with your jeans, you know when you know you've put on weight, because you know your jeans or anything you wear that's got like an elasticated waist flips over. So yeah, my jeans are doing the flip over. So that's when I know, yeah, Rachel, you've gone way too far. So I need to now focus on getting back to my old self. So, you know, that's going to be my number one thing that I'm doing now. So eating right and making sure I'm good. Making sure that, you know, I'm not eating 4 square meals a day, which is what I was doing, and cutting back on alcohol. I'm not going to say not do alcohol, but maybe not drink during the week. Maybe have a glass on a Saturday or something like that, and that's about it. But yeah, I need to rein it all the way back, because summer is around the corner and I am definitely not summer ready. So we came to the end of the holiday. And as I said, it all turned out really nice, and the weather was really good, and I had a really, really good time. And the travel back to the airport was very smooth. My suitcase did not fall out this time, so all was good there. The security was brilliant. I mean, we went through about 3 or 4 security checks before we went on the plane. So, can't fault them for that. One of the things I would say about us as humans, which I find so perplexing. When you book your holiday, when you book your flights, you're given your seat number for your ticket. So that seat is yours. It's not anybody else's. It's not like someone's going to take it. It's not like those EasyJet flights where it's first come, first serve. You know that's going to be your seat. So why, oh why, do people insist on getting sharp elbows and jostling themselves to queue up in the departure lounge before boarding? So while we're there, I'm sitting in the airport, it's hot, we're tired, we're ready to all go home. And we're all wearing our clothes ready for the UK, so we're probably, a bit overdressed for the weather. So you're a bit, irritable. And we've got a good hour to wait before we get on our plane. And people are queuing up. So they're queuing up in front of the air hostess, who's there, ready to open the gate to let us all board. And obviously she's not going to open it yet. And everybody's like jostling to try and get themselves there. And I'm not lying, this queue was about, I would say about 15 to 20 people. 15 to 20 people standing up for the best part of an hour to get on the flight with a seat that's already been allocated for them. Why not just sit down? Sit down and wait to be called. I don't know, maybe psychologically to them, they feel like they're getting further. It's a bit like, when you're waiting for the lift and people press the lift button because they think it's going to make the lift go faster when it isn't. It's the same. You're not going to get on the plane any quicker. And even if you do get on first, you're going to have to sit and wait for the rest of us to get on and find our seats. So I don't understand it. So that happened, and that was hilarious to me. The flight, though, was surprisingly good for me. It was a lot better than the flight going in. And I think that's because I made a few changes into the way that I visualised the flight. And I'll talk about that at the end of the podcast. But yeah, needless to say, it was a really enjoyable flight. Okay, not really enjoyable. It was significantly more enjoyable than the flight that I had going. And I hope that gets better and better. I'm looking to fly out again, hopefully in in August, so I want to use the techniques that I've learned to help me through the August flight as well. But the flight was fairly quick, so it was 2.5 hours again. I think it was even quicker than that. So, you know, we had really good air for it, and it was clear skies, and we landed beautifully. So, you know, I can't fault them. It was a really, you know, pleasant flight for me. So I didn't have any anxiety there. And once again, like I said, the people that, you know, jostle to get on the flight, we land and everybody's jumping up. They can't wait to get off the plane. So they're there like, you know, undoing their seatbelts before the light, you know, tells you to undo your seatbelt. And they're all like standing up in the aisle. Why? The plane has even opened the doors. They even say over the tannoy, we're waiting for the, you know, those stairs to come. Waiting for, you know, the stairs to come so that we can come off the flight, etc., etc. Please take your seats. No, people are there like, yeah, like they've got to get off the flight. Why? Because I don't understand that as well. Because you do know, people, that once we get off the flight, we've still got to go to the carousel to go and pick up our luggage. If that has not been taken off, there's no point. We're going to have to stand around waiting for it. Not only that, we're still going to have to go through passport control. So regardless of you getting off the flight fast, we've still got to do all of that. So me and my husband just sat there with my son and we just watched everybody elbow each other to get off the flight, giving each other dirty looks, huffing and puffing with each other. And then when the flight was literally 95% empty, we opened our overhead cabin, took our stuff out and got off the plane. And guess what? We met everybody there. The same people that were there trying to get off the flight, we met them there in the departure. Well, arrivals, I should say, the arrivals lounge. Foolishness. Absolute foolishness. But yeah, we managed to get everything and we had a safe trip home. We got the train back and it was a lovely, bright, sunny day. It was cold in England, but it was nice actually. It was a relief because I think us Brits, we're used to having changeable weather. Or as somebody said I saw on the internet, you know, weather on shuffle. We're used to having our weather on shuffle. 3 or 4 days of the same weather and we start getting panicky. So when you get intense heat for like 3 to 4 days, we're like, oh, we need something cold. It's a heat wave. So it was really nice to come into some fresh, cooling air. And yeah, got back to the UK safe and sound. And here I am. So I went back into work on Friday. It was hard coming back in, but it was good. I was glad I came back in and, you know, sort of got my brain in gear. I'm ready now, though. I think having a holiday really, you know, recharges you and it remotivates you to do all the things that you wanted to do. You know, your battery starts to go a little bit on empty and you get a bit complacent and then you go on holiday and you get that time to just get that energy back. I think the sun does that as well. I think the sunshine, you know, is almost like we're solar powered, isn't it? So it's like some solar energy, a good solar powering that you need to boost you back up to go and, you know, start another day. So I'm really, really amped and excited about all the things that are to come that I need to do in my life and my family's life, and also things to talk about on this podcast. So I've come to the end of my return podcast and I wanted to share the thing that I learned on my flight that really, really helped me. I went online and normally I get lots of different calming meditation kind of videos. I download them on YouTube Red and they're normally things like, you know, you're soaring through the sky, nothing can touch you, you're safe and sound, all of those kind of things. They help to a certain extent, but the minute there's turbulence or the minute that I feel unsettled, it just doesn't work. I still have the anxiety and the adrenaline running through me. So I wanted to try something different. And I found this video from, I think she was a behavioural therapist who used to be scared of flying. And she had a new technique for coping, which matches my personality so well. And that's because as I said before, I'm a brave person. I consider myself a brave person. So I will do things that scare me, just like flying. It's a means to an end to me. I'm terrified of it, but I want to go on holiday. So I will do it. So this technique basically is taking that adrenaline and, you know, that fear and anxiety and that rush that comes through your body and changing it from fear to excitement. almost that excitement that you get when you're on a roller coaster. Because, you know, when you're on a roller coaster, there is an element of fear, but it's excitement that really boosts you. So you're like, bring it on. Oh, we're going to get up there. We're going to rush through. Oh my God, my heart is in my mouth, but I'm loving it. And I use that, and that's what she says to do. And I channeled that. So when we were going down the runway to do takeoff, which is one of the most terrifying experiences for me, I channeled that fear into energy of excitement. And it really worked. I was like, we're going up in the sky. We're going to do it. We're up, we're doing it. We're soaring. And it was euphoric. It was a euphoric feeling that I felt. And I was able to, you know, take myself through the flight. And if there was any slight turbulence, I was able to embrace it and be like, oh, here we go. It's happening. And then it was smooth out again. And then as we were coming into land, I was feeling it as the plane was, you know, descending, and, you know, your stomach goes in your mouth again as it descends. But I was able to embrace it by, you know, having that bring it on kind of attitude. And we landed safely. So it got me through the flight. So it's not the conventional way of dealing with fear and anxiety, but I found it really worked for me. It worked for my personality. It worked for the type of person that I am. So, you know, I think if you're in a situation, whether it's anxiety at work, because a lot of people get anxiety at work, you know, when they think things have gone wrong, or they think they've made a mistake, or they think everybody thinks they're really crap at what they're doing, and it's only days before they get fired. Use that kind of anxiety to be like, bring it on. I'm going to make this better. I'm going to do this. Or if you're going into your meeting, you know, the one-to-ones that you have, which cause a lot of people anxiety, or those kind of reviews where you're just like, oh God, I really don't want them. Take that, you know, anxiety and turn it into adrenaline of, you know, excitement. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to learn something. I'm going to learn something new and bring it on. Whatever comes my way, I'm going to handle it. And, you know, it could be something that's very useful to you. You might find this a way of changing a thought process that's been holding you back for a long time. So I would like to say, I hope that you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you so much for supporting my previous ones. As I said, I sit here and talk a whole load of rubbish and I ramble on, but it's nice to know that people do listen. I basically feel like I'm talking to strangers. I know I have family and friends that listen too, so I'm really grateful for that. But essentially, my motto is create your art for strangers, because, you know, your family and friends have to listen to you, but strangers choose to listen to you. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this, and until next week, goodbye.